Did you know that 65% of workplace conflicts are caused by unresolved arguments? That's right. Most of us spend time fighting than fixing, and it is costing us productivity, peace, and even relationships. Now, here is another job dropper. 89% of couples, that is around 9 out of 10 of every couple, admit that frequent arguments are the number one reason why they feel disconnected from their partners. Now, that's almost 9 out of 10 struggling to break free from the argument circle. Now, hey, Marketplace Media family, welcome back to our channel where we engage, equip, and encourage believers to say, INAWEZEKANA. Now today we are diving into a topic that affects every single one of us, and that is arguments. Ever feel like stuck in a never-ending cycle of disagreements? Well, you are not alone. In this video, we are breaking the argument cycle with biblical wisdom, surprising statistics, and practical tips to help you turn conflict into connection. Whether it's at home, work, or even in your faith community, now this video will give you tools to stop the cycle and start living at peace. Now, don't forget that subscribe button and ring the notification bell so you never miss out on empowering content. Let's get started now. All right, why do people argue? Well, I've created an acrostic using the word argument just to make it simple for you to understand the root causes and even ways to solve them. Ready? Let's go. Now, A for anger and pride. Now, first up, anger and pride. Did you know that 65% of workplace conflicts and 89% of arguments with loved ones are caused by anger and ego? Now, in Proverbs 13 verse 10, which this is a verse that I would wish us to read. Let's read. That is Proverbs. We're going to read the book of Proverbs. We said Proverbs 13 verse 10. Very important scripture. Please get it. I'm giving you time to read it. Proverbs, the book of Proverbs. Where do you find the book of Proverbs? That should be in the Old Testament. We'll do verse 10. Okay, there we go. Proverbs 10. We are doing verse 13. Sorry, we are doing verse number 10. Now, arrogance. Let's get this. Arrogance only brings quarreling, but those receiving advice are wise. Okay. That is what the book of Proverbs says. So, pride leads to strife, but wisdom brings peace. So, what is the solution for this? Take a deep breath, pause before reacting, and ask yourself this important question: is my pride driving this? Practice humility, because humility is, of course, game changer. Now, the next letter is righteousness. Is righteousness and self-justification. Now, next to righteousness. Next is righteousness and justification. Ever been in an argument where you just had to prove you are right? Yeah, we all been there. Now, there is a study that have found that 75% of relationship arguments happen because people are trying to prove a point. Now, but here's the thing. Proverbs 21 verse 2 reminds that only God knows the heart. So instead of insisting you're right, try reasoning, try finding common ground, because it's not about winning, it's about understanding. Remember, it is better to win. It's better to lose an argument than to win and lose a friend. So make the judgment. The third thing that we want to talk about is G. How we can break the argument circle. Now it's G. Now, another cause of argument is greed and selfish ambition. Now, greed and selfish ambition, in the book of James chapter 4, the first 2 verses, it says that fight happens because of our desires. Now, an interesting statistics from the World Happiness Report found that 40%, let's say this again, 40% of conflicts are linked to greed and unequal resources. Now, greed in its own way fuels arguments by fostering selfishness and competition. When people prioritize their own desires like money, resources, or recognition over others' needs, now this creates tension and conflict. And the book of James, like we said, asked a very important question: what causes fights? It is your desires that battle within you, which means that greed focuses on getting rather than giving, and this actually leads to arguments. And what is the fix? Quick one: be generous. Just share what you have. In other words, stop being stingy. Set clear boundaries and focus on gratitude, not grumbling. When we let go of greed, what we do is that we make room for peace. Another cause of argument or argumentative spirit is unforgiveness and bitterness. Here is a big one: unforgiveness and bitterness. Did you know that 7 out of 10 of people struggle with forgiveness and they have frequent arguments? Unforgiveness and bitterness keeps past hurt alive. They cause resentment to spill into new disagreements. When people hold on to grudges, they become defensive, they become quick to anger, and they're willing to reason. That's fueling argument. Now, Ephesians chapter 4 verse 31 to 32 gives us a remedy that we need to let go of bitterness and we need to forgive just as Christ forgave us. So how do you do that? Well, one of the quick fix and a hack is write a letter, and you don't have to send it anyway, of what you're feeling. Just ventilating those anger and angry emotions, and pray that for the person that hurt you, and seek counseling if need be. Forgiveness, we need to say, is freedom. The other one that comes to mind is miscommunication. For M, it's the culprit behind 60% of marital conflicts, according to the University of California study. Now, Proverbs 18:13 warns us against answering before reasoning. Actually, it is foolish to answer before reasoning. Now, so here is the tip. Now, practice active reasoning. Repeat back what you've heard. Ask clarifying question. Avoid assumption, because clear communication, of course, will save so many relationships that has been destroyed. The other one that comes to mind next up is envy and comparison. Now, a Pew Research study found that this is very interesting, 50% of social media users experience envy, and this envy actually graduates into arguments. Paul gave very wise words in Galatians 5:26, and where we are warned against being provoked to envy and not to envy each other. So instead, what should we do? We should limit our social media time. It is not good for you to spend all your time on social media. In other words, now start celebrating others and focus on your own journey. Comparison, remember, is the thief of joy, so don't let it steal your joy. Now, the other thing is what we call the need for control and power. A very interesting study from Harvard Review report found that 30% of workplace conflict are due to power struggles. The need for control and power often causes arguments in politics because individuals or groups compete to dominate decision making. They want to dominate resources. They want to dominate in the influence. And that desire for authority leads to crashes over policies, leadership and ideologies, as each side seeks to assert and to push its agenda. Now, Mark chapter 9 verse number 34 shows that even the disciples were not spared from arguing on who was the greatest. What is the solution? Very simple. Learn to delegate, trust others, and practice empathy. Put yourself in their shoes, and collaboration always beat corruption. Competition. Now, the other thing that actually causes argumentative spirit is temptation and sinful nature. Now, here is the truth. Temptation and sinful nature play a very huge role in arguments. The book of Romans chapter 7 18 to 19 reminds us that we all of us struggle with sin. And a study done by the Banner Group found that 80%, that is 8 out of 10 Christians, admit sinful behavior that actually leads to argument. So how do we fix this? Very simple. Pray for self-control. Ask God to give you self-control. Seek accountability and replace negative thoughts with God's word. I hope this you understand this. Now, the next one in line is spiritual welfare and division. And this is the final thing, and this is not the last bit. Now, finally, spiritual warfare and division. In the book of Ephesians, chapter 6, verse number 12, it tells us that our battles are spiritual. A research done by Lifeway concluded that 35. Now, this is very important. That 5% of church conflicts are linked to spiritual welfare. So every time when you find yourself encountering spiritual warfare, you need to understand there is a lot of conflict around there. So put on the armor of God, pray for unity, and seek reconciliation. When we fight together instead of fighting against each other, actually we win. So let's recap our quick takeaways. But before then, I need to remind you and ask you that there is a very important tool that you need here, and this is the tool. This is a rotating, what we call let me get it, a rotating laptop holder. You can adjust it like this, and it's rotating, and it's all metallic, and you can place your laptop here, and so it just becomes stylish. If you put this in on your desk, it looks classic, and it's metallic, so you don't need to worry about it breaking. And the good thing is that you can compress it like this and becomes compact. You can carry it anywhere you go, and you just need to hit you need to call us or reach us on 0706 566 555 if you need this gadget, and we are selling it. Just we are disposing it at 1,300. So let's come back home and let's continue with the discussion. Let's continue talking about what we call breaking the argument. So what are the takeaways? Anger and pride, they fuel arguments. Now pause and reflect before reacting. Now stop trying to prove that you're right. Instead, listen and find common ground. Number 3, greed and selfishness divides. So practice generosity and gratitude. Now, unforgiveness breeds bitterness. So what are we saying? Choose to forgive and let go. Now, 5, miscommunication causes confusion. So listen actively and clarify. Number 6, envy and comparison are joy stealers. So instead, celebrate others and focus on your own journey. Instead of controlling and going through power struggles that actually are destroyers of relationship, we are saying trust and collaborate. Number 8, very important, remember that temptation is sin and these are real things. So instead, we encourage you to take time to pray for self-control and then look for an accountability partner. And then 9, and this is very important, remember we are in a spiritual warfare, and every conflict that you see around behind it is behind every conflict is a spiritual warfare. So put on the armor of God and seek unity. Now here is the question for you. What is the most common cause of arguments in your life? What is the most cause of arguments in your life? Let us know in the comments below, and don't forget to vote for a poll. Which tip are you going to try first? Would love to hear from you. Which tip are you going to try first among the many that you've shared? Thanks for watching this Market Media family. This video has been helped you. Please consider give it a thumbs up, share it with someone who needs this, and don't forget to subscribe for more content that engages, equips, and encourages you. Say INAWEZEKANA. Until next time, remember, conflicts don't have to control you. With God's wisdom, these practical tips, and with these practical tips, you can turn arguments into opportunities and growth connection. Please see you in the next video. My name is John Kimani. Remember what you say here, INAWEZEKANA.